Now we're ready for the big blockbusters. So January definitely proved all the haters wrong, as we got some pretty strong movies in the month of January. But will February be the slightly stronger movie month? We have a lot to look forward to in February in the world of cinema, so let's get into it. Here are the movies I'm looking forward to in the month of February. Like always, if you're interested in any movie related content, smash that subscribe button, put a like on this video, and let's tune in to the movies that I'm interested in February 2023. So we start off February with a thrill as a long-awaited psychological thriller movie, Knock at the Cabin, comes to screens February 3rd. Dave Bautista is showing his continued range in acting as he stars in this M. Night Shyamalan flick alongside Rupert Grint, Jonathan Groff, Ben Aldridge, Nikki Amuka Bird, and Abby Quinn. So this movie is about a gay couple who's vacationing in a cabin in the middle of the woods when they get held up by a group of strangers who tell them that someone must be sacrificed in order to prevent the apocalypse from happening. This movie has definitely been high on my list since the trailers have released, and I'm really excited to see what it has to offer. So this movie is directed by M. Night Shyamalan and it releases on February 3rd. So also on February 3rd, we have this interesting comedy, and if you're a really big Tom Brady fan, well, this may be for you. And it's interesting enough that Tom Brady announced his retirement just as this movie was going to come out, seeming as if it was planned out. Well, directed by Colin Marvin, we have 80 for Brady, which is based on a true story, and it tells the story of a group of friends who are trying to do spontaneous activities and live out their life as they're entering into their retirement years. They decide to take a trip to the Super Bowl to see their favorite idol, Tom Brady, play. This movie is set in 2017 when the New England Patriots face the Atlanta Falcons, which is pretty interesting because the Patriots actually won from being down 28-3 that year. So this is like a peak Tom Brady movie right here. I predicted this will be a heartfelt comedy, even though I may not be the biggest Tom Brady fan, I'm a Giants fan here. This movie may be a sight to see. 80 for Brady starring Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Rita Moreno with Sally Field, and some guest appearances from Rob Gronkowski and none other than Tom Brady. This movie releases on February 3rd and it'll be a sight to see. So the next movie is Magic Mike's Last Dance. So I was actually surprised when I saw this trailer pop up, not just because Donna Summer is a legend whose song Last Dance alludes to the movie. The fact that this movie is happening again after the previous two iterations is just, it took a lot of people by surprise. Like, no one was expecting another Magic Mike movie. Channing Tatum is back to reprise his role as Mike Lane as he picks up an offer from a wealthy British woman. I personally was never big on Magic Mike. I've never really gone to theaters or ran to theaters to see the Magic Mike movies, but I do know that fans are going to come out as Channing Tatum reprises and gives his last to this role. Magic Mike's Last Dance is going to be releasing on February 10th. Well, if you liked Winnie the Pooh, right, as a child, you may be into some sort of treat as Christopher Robin. Well, Christopher Robin ain't friendly no more. This movie turns Winnie the Pooh into a horror slasher flick as Pooh and Piglet are murderers hunting down nearby university students, which include Christopher Robin. I do not know what to expect from this movie or how this was even thought of. The trailer release was just so popular that instead of this being a one night only, this was only supposed to release on one day, on Wednesday, February 15th, but now this is getting apparently a full theatrical release, so expect this movie to be in more theaters and for much longer. So this movie is directed by Rhys Waterfield and stars Nikolai Leon and Craig David Dowsett, and it's set to release on February 15th for a one day currently, but I believe that it's going to have a full theatrical release. Now we're ready for the big blockbuster. So our first big blockbuster of the year comes with a highly anticipated showing from none other than Marvel. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania leaps into theaters on February 17th as we enter back into the world of Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyke and their kids as they explore the quantum realm with an interesting encounter with Kang the Conqueror. After somewhat of a less than stellar showing in the Marvel movies last year, I believe that Marvel had more of a showing on its shows more so than its movies, but nevertheless, as somewhat stellar showing last year, I expect this movie to deliver. Starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, Catherine Newton, and none other than Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror. Directed by Peyton Reed, this movie releases on February 17th. So as soon as this trailer for this movie came out, the reaction from social media was so bizarre. It was so wild. I don't think I've ever seen something as bizarre as the plot to this movie. But what's even more bizarre is that it's based on true events that happened in 1985 as a plane crash from a drug transporter had packages of cocaine spread throughout the forest, which a black bear ate the said missing cocaine. Now we see this plot being portrayed on the big screen as a bunch of people from cops, criminals, teenage kids all go into the forest to try to hunt this cocaine-ridden black bear who is going around ripping people apart and murdering people. So this movie is directed by Elizabeth Banks and it stars this ensemble cast featuring Kerry Russell, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Christian Carvery Jennings, Alden Ehrenreich, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Brooklyn Prince, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., Christopher Hivju, Hannah Hoekstra, Aaron Holiday, Margot Martindale, and Ray Liotta. This movie releases on February 24th. Now here are some of the honorable mentions for this month. Movies that, have been bubbling over. They haven't had too much press release, but have been bubbling over that are going to release this month. One of the movies is called Jesus Revolution. Also releasing in February 24th is a religion-based movie titled Jesus Revolution. So this movie is about the true story of a national spiritual awakening in the early 1970s, and it traces its origins within the community of teenage hipsters or hippies in Southern California. This new wave of religion counterculture releases in theaters on February 24th and is directed by John Irwin, starring Joel Courtney. So another movie that was severely delayed. I mean, this movie was supposed to come out, I believe, in 2021, but because of production issues and COVID and all of that, the movie was delayed, but now it's finally getting a release. I haven't seen much of this movie in terms of press in the United States, but yes, this movie is coming out February 24th. This movie is called Mummies, and it is an animated film about 3 mummies on their journey to present-day London to search for an old ring that belonged to the royal family that was stolen. They need to retrieve back the artifact. So this movie releases on February 24th, directed by Juan Jesus Garcia Galocha and starring Joe Thomas. So that is all for February movies that I'm interested in going to theaters and seeing. I am going to see the majority of these movies, so look out for reviews on these movies. At the end of the month, I'm gonna rank my top 3 movies of the month, so let's hear it. I mean, people said January was going to be a very weak movie month. It ended up being a very strong movie month, and with February actually has that one big blockbuster coming out. Let's see what happens in the month of February. Like always, thank you all for tuning in to my channel. Turn on post notifications if you want any of updated content and you want to stay up to date on movie related content. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on post notifications, and follow me on IG and Twitter at Elvis vs. The World. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.